I'm so glad you're here with us today. We're diving deep into A Course in Miracles, and if you're just joining our community, you might be wondering what this course is all about. I'd love to invite you to check out the very first video on this channel, where I break down exactly what A Course in Miracles is, how it came to exist, and why it's been transforming lives for over 5 decades. It'll give you the perfect foundation for everything we explore together here. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever felt trapped? Not physically trapped, but trapped in your own life? Trapped by regrets that won't let you go? Trapped by worries about tomorrow that steal your peace today? Trapped in a cycle where healing feels just out of reach no matter how hard you try? If you're nodding your head right now, you're not alone. This feeling of being stuck, fragmented, scattered across time is something nearly every human being experiences. And today, we're going to understand why that happens, and more importantly, how to break free. We're exploring Chapter 5 of A Course in Miracles, focusing on Section 7, Time and Eternity. And I know what you might be thinking. Time and eternity? That sounds pretty abstract, maybe even a little philosophical. But here's the truth. This section is one of the most practical, life-changing teachings in the entire course. Because what we're really talking about here is your freedom, your healing, your ability to experience wholeness right now, not someday in the distant future. Think about how you experience your life. Most of us live with one foot in the past and one foot in the future. We replay old conversations, old mistakes, old hurts. We rehearse future scenarios, plan our defenses, imagine what might go wrong. And where does that leave us? Nowhere. Or more accurately, everywhere except where life actually happens, which is right here, right now, in this present moment. The ego has convinced us that time is our enemy. It tells us we're victims of our past and that our future is uncertain and threatening. It keeps us fragmented, divided, always reaching for something we don't have or running from something we can't change. And as long as we buy into this interpretation of time, healing remains impossible. Because how can you be whole when you're scattered across decades of regret and anxiety? But here's where everything shifts. A Course in Miracles teaches us that there's another way to see time. There's another voice, another teacher who looks at time completely differently. The Holy Spirit doesn't see time as a prison. He sees it as a classroom. He sees it as a tool, a temporary learning device that can actually lead us back to the eternal truth of who we are. This isn't just beautiful poetry. This is intensely practical, because when you understand how the Holy Spirit uses time, when you learn to let Him reinterpret every moment for you, something miraculous happens. The past loses its power to hurt you. The future loses its power to frighten you. And suddenly, you find yourself standing in the only moment where healing is possible, where peace is available, where God can reach you. Right now. Today, we're going to break down exactly how this works. We're going to look at how the ego uses time to keep you sick and separated, and how the Holy Spirit uses that same time to bring you home to wholeness. We're going to explore what the Course calls the holy instant, that revolutionary moment when time collapses and eternity breaks through. And we're going to discover together how you can start living from that place of freedom today. So take a deep breath. Let go of whatever happened yesterday. Release whatever you think should happen tomorrow. And let's step into this together. Let's talk about the ego for a moment. And I want you to really understand what we mean when we say the ego in A Course in Miracles. We're not talking about arrogance or pride. We're talking about that voice in your mind that tells you you're separate, alone, and vulnerable. That voice that's constantly trying to protect you from threats that don't actually exist. And one of the ego's most powerful weapons? Time itself. Here's how it works. The ego takes time and turns it into a battlefield. It splits your mind across past, present, and future, and then it uses each one against you. Think about your past for a second. What does the ego do with it? It hands you guilt. It replays your mistakes on an endless loop. It whispers, remember what you did? Remember what you said? You can never be forgiven for that. The ego wants you to believe that your past defines you, that you're forever stained by decisions you made yesterday, last year, or 20 years ago, and it doesn't stop there. While the ego keeps one hand pressed firmly on your past, dragging you backward, it uses the other hand to push you into anxiety about the future. What if this happens? What if that doesn't work out? What if you fail? What if you lose everything? The ego thrives on fear, and the future is an unlimited source of things to be afraid of. Things that haven't happened. Things that probably never will happen. But the ego doesn't care about probability. It cares about keeping you afraid. Now here's the devastating part. While you're trapped between guilt about the past and fear about the future, where are you? You're nowhere. You're not actually present in your own life. You're not here in this moment where healing could reach you, where peace is available, where God is waiting. The ego has successfully fragmented you across time, and in that fragmentation, you feel incomplete, broken, scattered. This is why healing feels impossible in the ego's framework, because the ego's entire interpretation of time is based on the idea that you are what you've done, and you will be what you fear. It tells you that change is either impossible or terrifying. It convinces you that who you were yesterday is who you are today and who you'll be tomorrow. There's no escape. There's no freedom. There's only this grinding linear march through time, carrying all your baggage with you. And let me tell you something powerful. This is a complete lie. This entire structure, this whole way of experiencing time, is an illusion the ego created to keep you imprisoned. Because if you're constantly reliving the past or rehearsing the future, you never arrive at the one place where the ego's power completely dissolves, the present moment. The ego knows that in the present moment, there is no guilt. In the present moment, there is no fear. In the present moment, you are free. So it does everything in its power to make sure you never fully arrive here. It keeps you running, always reaching, always regretting, always anxious. And in that constant state of mental time travel, you remain sick, separated, and searching for a wholeness that seems forever out of reach. But here's what you need to know. The ego's use of time only has power if you agree with it. And you're about to learn there's another way. Now let's talk about the complete reversal. Because while the ego uses time as a weapon to keep you trapped, the Holy Spirit looks at that same time and sees something entirely different. He sees an opportunity. He sees a teaching tool. He sees a temporary classroom designed specifically to lead you back home to the eternal truth of who you really are. This is revolutionary. The Holy Spirit doesn't deny that you're experiencing time. He doesn't pretend you're not living in a world where clocks tick and days pass. Instead, he takes the very thing the ego weaponized against you and transforms it into an instrument of healing. This is the genius of divine love. It meets you exactly where you are and uses what's already in your hands. So how does the Holy Spirit use time? First, he removes its sting. Remember how the ego loaded your past with guilt and your future with fear? The Holy Spirit looks at your past and says, that's already over. It has no power now. And more than that, every mistake you made, every wrong turn you took, I can use for good. Give it to me, and I will undo all the consequences if you allow me to. This isn't about pretending the past didn't happen. It's about letting it be reinterpreted, transformed, and ultimately released. And what about the future? The Holy Spirit doesn't ask you to plan and protect and defend yourself against imaginary threats. He asks you to trust. He asks you to recognize that you don't know what anything is for, that you can't see the whole picture, and that he can guide you one step at a time. There's no anxiety in this. There's only surrender, and in that surrender there's extraordinary peace. But here's where it gets really beautiful. The Holy Spirit introduces us to something the Course calls the Holy Instant. And this is the key to everything. The Holy Instant is that moment when you choose to step out of the ego's interpretation of time and into the eternal now. It's when you stop, right in the middle of your worry or your regret, and you say, Holy Spirit, I don't want to see this the way I've been seeing it. Show me another way. In that instant, something miraculous happens. Time doesn't exactly disappear, but it loses its grip on you. The past and future collapse into this present moment, and suddenly you're not fragmented anymore. You're whole. You're here. And in that here-ness, you can actually experience what you've been searching for all along. Peace, clarity, connection with something far greater than your small, frightened self. The Holy Spirit uses time as a bridge. Think about that image. You're standing on one side in the world of separation, guilt, fear, and illusion. On the other side is eternity, wholeness, perfect love, your true home, and time is the bridge between them. But here's the thing about bridges. They're meant to be crossed. You're not supposed to live on the bridge forever. You're supposed to use it to get somewhere. Every moment you give to the Holy Spirit, every time you choose His interpretation instead of the ego's, you take another step across that bridge. You're learning that time isn't your master. You're learning that the present moment is the only moment that's real. You're learning that healing isn't something that happens eventually, someday, when you've worked hard enough or suffered long enough. Healing is available right now, in this instant, the moment you choose to see things differently. This is why the Course says the Holy Spirit is a way of choosing. He doesn't force anything on you. He simply offers you a different perspective, a different teacher, a different purpose for everything you're experiencing. And when you accept His purpose, time becomes your friend instead of your enemy. It becomes a gentle teacher instead of a harsh judge. You're not a victim of time. You never were. So now we arrive at the most beautiful part of this journey. We've seen how the ego imprisons us in time, and we've discovered how the Holy Spirit transforms time into a teaching device. But where does this all lead? What's the destination? And more importantly, how do you actually live this? How do you move from being a prisoner of time to experiencing the freedom of eternity? Let's start with something radical that the Course teaches. Eternity isn't somewhere else. It's not a place you go to when you die. It's not a distant reward for being good enough. Eternity is your natural state. It's what you are underneath all the layers of fear and guilt and time-bound thinking. And the moment you stop investing in the past and future, eternity is right here, waiting to be recognized. This is what happens when you truly let go. When you release your grip on yesterday's regrets, when you stop trying to control tomorrow's outcomes, something extraordinary opens up. You discover that this present moment, this now, is actually infinite. It's not a tiny sliver of time squeezed between past and future. It's a doorway into timelessness itself. And here's what that feels like in practical terms. Have you ever had a moment where everything just stopped? Where you were so completely present that you forgot to worry, forgot to judge, forgot to be afraid? Maybe it was watching a sunset, holding someone you love, or just a quiet moment when everything suddenly felt okay. That's not just a nice feeling. That's you touching eternity. That's you experiencing your true nature, even if just for a second. The Course teaches us that healing and wholeness are actually the same thing. You can't be healed while you're fragmented across time. You can't experience peace while part of you is stuck in 1995 and another part is anxiously living in next month. Healing happens when all of you comes together, right here, right now. And that wholeness, that integration, that's what allows you to recognize what you've always been. Eternal, unlimited, completely loved. Now I know what you might be thinking. This sounds beautiful, but I still have bills to pay. I still have responsibilities. I still have a calendar and appointments and things I need to plan. And that's exactly right. The Holy Spirit isn't asking you to pretend you don't live in the world of time. He's asking you to live in time differently. He's asking you to use time without being used by it. Here's the practical application, and this is something you can start doing today. When you catch yourself spiraling into the past or catastrophizing about the future, pause. Just pause. Take a breath, and ask yourself this simple question. What is here, right now, in this present moment? not what you're thinking about, not what you're afraid of, but what is actually here, right now. Usually you'll discover something surprising. Right now, in this present moment, you're probably okay. The crisis you're imagining hasn't happened. The mistake you're replaying is already over and can't hurt you unless you keep giving it power. Right now, you have what you need. Right now, you can choose peace. Right now, you can invite the Holy Spirit to show you what this moment is actually for. This is how you live in time while choosing eternity. You use time for the Holy Spirit's purpose. You use it to learn, to forgive, to heal, to extend love. And every time you do this, every time you choose the holy instant over the ego's interpretation, you're literally collapsing time. You're proving that the past doesn't have to determine the present, and the present doesn't have to be sacrificed to anxiety about the future. Wholeness isn't something you achieve. It's something you remember. And you remember it by being fully present, fully here, fully available to what this moment is offering you. Because in this moment, you're not broken. In this moment, you're not guilty. In this moment, you are exactly what God created you to be, whole, eternal, and infinitely loved. So here we are. We've walked through this together, and I hope you can see now that you're not a victim of time. You never were. Time is not your enemy. It's not a prison. It's a temporary classroom, and the Holy Spirit is using every single moment to teach you the truth about who you really are. The ego wants you scattered, fragmented, living everywhere except right here. But you have another choice. In every moment, you can choose differently. You can choose the Holy Spirit's interpretation. You can choose the holy instant. You can choose to be present, whole, and free. And here's the beautiful promise at the heart of all this. Time will end when its purpose is fulfilled. When you've learned everything time was meant to teach you, when you've used it to forgive instead of to attack, when you've let the Holy Spirit transform every moment into an opportunity for healing, time simply dissolves. It's not needed anymore. You return to what you've always been, eternal, unlimited, one with God. But you don't have to wait until some distant future for this to happen. You can experience it right now, today, in this moment. All you have to do is stop, breathe, and choose again. Choose the Holy Spirit's way of seeing. Choose peace over guilt. Choose trust over fear. Choose presence over the endless mental time travel that's been exhausting you for so long. I want to encourage you today to practice this. When you feel yourself being pulled into the past or pushed into the future, come back. Come back to now. Ask the Holy Spirit to show you what this moment is for, and watch what happens. Watch how your experience begins to shift. Watch how peace becomes possible. Watch how wholeness starts to feel real. If this video touched something in you, if it helped you see time differently, if it gave you even a glimpse of the freedom that's available to you right now, I'd be so grateful if you'd hit that like button. It helps more people find these teachings. And that's what this is all about. Extending love, extending truth, helping each other wake up together. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. We're here every day, diving deep into A Course in Miracles, exploring these profound teachings in practical, accessible ways. This is a community of seekers, students, people who are ready to see things differently. I'd love for you to be part of it. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Maybe you know someone who's trapped in regret, someone who's paralyzed by worry about the future, someone who's searching for peace but doesn't know where to find it. This could be exactly what they need today. And please, leave a comment below. Tell me what resonated with you. Tell me about your experience with time, with healing, with choosing the holy instant. I love hearing from you. This isn't just me talking at you. This is us learning together, supporting each other, reminding each other of the truth when we forget. Remember, eternity is your natural state. It's not something you have to earn or achieve. It's what you are right now underneath all the noise. And it's waiting for you to simply stop running and come home. Thank you for being here. Thank you for opening your heart to these teachings. And thank you for choosing to see things differently. I'll see you tomorrow with another deep dive into A Course in Miracles. Until then, be present, be peace, be whole.